Okay, if you're not from the United States, these numbers that we use make no sense at all. But I notice you're using feet and miles. So I'm going to say 1 mile is the same thing as 5,280 feet. Now, by the way, I want to point out, if this were like an exam question, regardless of where it's in the world, provided you gave that information, it would be a fair question, right? That if someone said, oh, 1 mile is 5,200 feet, just like they use some things that no one understood, but they gave you the conversion between the two, it would be considered a fair question. All right, so I'm going to read it to you. It says, telegraph poles along a certain road, and I'm going to say there's a road over here, and there's poles. There's poles on the road, like this over here. They say the telegraph poles along a certain road are at equal intervals, which means they're spaced equally. All right? If the interval between the poles were increased by 22 feet, so what I'm going to clear here is that I'm going to say x, let's take a look at this. How many poles are there in a mile? So I'm going to say x equals the number of poles in 1 mile. All right, so if that's true, right, there's going to be, let's see, 5,280 divided by x would be the distance between the pole. This is the distance in feet. All right? That's a distance in feet between the poles. X is the number of poles in 1 mile. 5,280 divided by x is the distance in feet between the poles. All right, let's take a look at it. If the interval between the poles were increased by 22 feet, okay, so this is the distance between the pole. If it was increased by 22 feet, right? If it's increased, right? Let me just read that again. If the interval between the poles were increased by 22 feet, there would be 8 fewer in a mile. What does that mean? That means it would be 5,280. And instead of having x poles in a mile, there'd be 8 fewer, which is x minus 8. Let me just make it a little bit neater. 5,280 over x minus 8 equals 5,280 over x equals 22. All right, let's just see if we got that. And I'm looking at the key now. And this is what you're going to be doing too. X is the number of poles. Whoops. X is the number of poles. Yeah, I got that written down. This written down. I got the equation written down. Whoops. Made a mistake in the equation now. Get my eraser out. That's a plus. And, not that I want to solve it, but if I were looking at that, I probably would divide by, I think 22 goes into 52280. Let me put that down. Let's see, 2, that's 44. That's going to be 88, and you get 4. All right, 240. So you get 240 over x minus 8 equals 240 over x plus 1. Multiply both sides by the LCD, yada, yada, yada. You should be able to get to the end of this, and I'm hoping you're able to get to these two things over here, where x would be minus 40. That makes no sense at all because this is the number of poles in 1 mile. Can't be. What's the other one going to be? 48. It's 48 poles in every 1 mile. Thank you.